Welcome everyone to the Polygon Vault. Today's video is a bit different from my usual stuff. I wanted to slow things down a bit and bring you something special. A full detailed look at my workflow. I'll keep it as clear and concise as possible, so by the end you'll have all the tools you need to create your very own 3D assets, or even full retro environments if you want. So, what are we making? Well, as you can see, today we're modeling a vending machine. It's got a simple enough shape to be beginner-friendly, but still a fun little challenge, and honestly I think it just looks awesome. First, let me run you through the tools I use the most, so you'll know what to have ready for this tutorial. I use PureRef to keep all my visual references in one place, so I can constantly look back at them while I work. It's a free tool, super easy to use, and I've put the download link in the description. Next up is Blender. Probably the main reason you're here. I'm assuming you already have it installed, but I also left a link in the description just in case. This is where I spend most of my time. I also use Photoshop. It's the only paid tool on this list, but I really love it for texture work. GIMP works just fine though if you don't want to pay for it. I left the download links as well. Lastly, Unreal Engine is where the magic happens. It's where everything comes together in real time. The link is there as well. I'll take it that you already have some basic knowledge of Blender, Photoshop, and Unreal for this tutorial. With that out of the way, let's jump in. The first thing I like to do when I'm figuring out what props to make is just look around my scene. For example, here it feels a bit empty, and I think it could really use a standout prop. Just like our vending machine. So I usually just hop on Google Images. That's more than enough for me, I don't really use anything else. Then I open PureRef and hit Ctrl-N to create a new node. I name it after my mesh, turn on Always on Top, and start dragging in all the references I need without interrupting my workflow. Just get inspired. That's really just the idea here. This part is really important, and it's often overlooked. Even with low poly work, if you want something cohesive and believable, references are a must. For example, my scene takes place somewhere in the 90s, so I'm specifically looking for vending machines from that era. That's enough references to get started. I like to focus on the big picture first, and when I get into more specific details, I'll go back and grab more targeted references if I need to. And here we are inside Blender. With our references ready, I think we're good to start modeling. First, I create a default cube. Then I take a moment to adjust it so it roughly matches the proportions of a real vending machine. It's about the same height as Hank. Seriously, take your time here. Get the right proportions first, because fixing them later after you've added details is not good. Now let's press E in edit mode to extrude the front face twice, and S to scale and start building that great rounded cylindrical shape. Also, you can press Alt plus Z to toggle the X-ray mode. It lets you see through the mesh, which is very useful. Here I'm just squashing the roundness of the cylinder by pressing S and using the middle mouse button to lock it on the X-axis. And we've already got a pretty decent shape, my incredible peeps. You'll notice the faces aren't smoothed yet. I like to set up my shading early. All you have to do is select the edges you want to keep sharp in edge mode, right-click and choose Mark Sharp. Then, once you're done, switch to Object Mode, right-click and select Shade Auto Smooth. It should already look a lot better. Okay, now we're shaping the right side. I'm just using the Loop Cut tool. Click where you want to cut, but don't release immediately. You can move the mouse to adjust its height. Alright, now let's get rid of this section here and carve out the area. Snapping is important here. You can toggle it on by pressing Shift and Tab. Then we just fill the rest. Select the edges you want to fill and press F. After that, I update the sharp edges, and there you have it. This is what it should look like. Beautiful! I'm just adjusting the front face a bit. Next, we'll tackle the slot where the drink drops. Time to use the Loop Cut tool again. As you can see, I've added some edges that aren't really doing much. Let's do a bit of optimization. Honestly, you just have to ask yourself, if I hide the wireframe, does this vertex actually contribute to the shape? If it doesn't, that's a good sign it's safe to remove. Here I simply press M and choose Collapse to merge the edges together. For these specific vertices though, I want to merge the first one I selected to the last. So I do the same thing, press M to merge, but instead of collapse, I just choose at last. We can take optimization even further and remove this edge here. Oh, so satisfying. This one as well. There's something really satisfying about making the most with the least. Now we can extrude inward to create the slot where the drinks will fall. Just like this. The last part, as far as the topology here, is just creating a smaller base. After all, the cylindrical shape is supposed to be a door. Let's define the two parts a bit more. I'm just trying to adjust the base so it sits at ground level again. I think the shape is looking complete now. The only things left are to fix the shading and more optimization. You can remove any sharp edges you don't need anymore by right-clicking and choosing Clear Sharp instead of Mark Sharp. Take your time here. Double check that your mesh is squeaky clean, my incredible peeps. And there we go! I think all the sharp edges are in the right place, and every face has been optimized. Next step, the material. To create a material, go to the Material Properties tab and click New. Name it anything you like. We're keeping it simple, no fancy settings. For this retro low poly style, a rough base color is all we need. When you're done, click the yellow dot next to base color and select image texture. Again, name it anything you want, and give it that classic 256 by 256 resolution. And now for the last step, probably the most important, go to the shading workspace, select your image texture node and change the interpolation from linear to closest. This keeps your texture pixels sharp and blocky, giving you that classic low-res look instead of smooth modern shading. Okay, welcome to the unwrap section of this tutorial. Unwrapping might not be the most exciting part, but it's essential if you want a properly textured mesh, so it's worth getting used to. Basically, what we need here is a 2D representation of every face on our model. In Blender, it's actually pretty simple. It works a lot like using sharp edges in our shading workflow. You just select the edges you want to separate, and Blender generates the UE faces for you. Alright, let's select our edges. Right-click, then choose Mark Scene. If you accidentally select the wrong edges, no worries. Just reselect them and click Clear Scene to remove it. Since this mesh is pretty simple, I'm selecting all the edges so you can see how I do it. But keep in mind, there are much more efficient ways to select edges when working on more complex models. I suggest you check out some videos on that topic when you get the chance. And there you have it. This is what your final unwrapped scenes should look like. Once that's done, we can move over to the UV editing workspace for the next step. And now we just select all our faces, right-click on the UV editor and choose Unwrap. In this case, I won't use the entire sheet because I want to leave some space to potentially add other front adds on the vending machine. Think of this as a work in progress for multiple variations. This face is upside down. Let's right-click and choose Mirror Y to fix it. Next, I press Shift plus S and choose Cursor to Selected so that one of the faces becomes the origin. Then I select another face I want to overlap, press Shift plus S again and choose Selection to Cursor Offset. I want the two sides of the vending machine to overlap since they'll use roughly the same texture. Doing this saves a lot of space on the UV sheet, especially if you repeat it several times. Same idea for the top and bottom of the mesh. The front of the vending machine can have its own unique corner right there. This part can overlap with this. I'll place the buttons right there for now. And for the drink slot, all those faces can overlap since it's just going to be black metal anyway. Now you can place your organized faces anywhere you want on the UV sheet. The last thing we need to do before jumping into Photoshop is prepare a UV layout and export it so we know exactly where to draw and place images on the canvas. Oh, and don't forget to save your texture so you can load it into Photoshop as well. And here we are. Let's load the texture and the UV layouts. By the way, my UVs change a lot while I'm texturing, but that's totally normal. The main thing to keep in mind with your own layout is which faces correspond to what in Photoshop. This is the moment where I go back to Google Images or my references, take screenshots, then paste them as a new layer and place them over the face I want them on. For example, here's a really good shot of the front of the vending machine. The buttons are super clear, so I might as well grab it. You can play around with the size and shape of the texture. Its resolution makes that possible. If you're careful, it won't get blurry enough to notice any mistakes. Once you feel like you've done enough and want to see your progress, you can quickly export your image as a PNG and reload it in Blender. Just like I did here. I do this all the time. So really, it just becomes a game of switching between Photoshop and Blender every time you want to update your assets. Here I drew a small rubber strip that I'll reuse a lot as trim to clean up the edges of the vending machine. This face is upside down, so I'm just mirroring it on the y-axis. This kind of thing happens quite often. So I figured I'd align all the faces so this strip wraps all the way around. This is what I meant when I said you'll be moving your UVs around a lot while texturing. It means exporting your UV layout again in Photoshop to keep it up to date, but in terms of saving space on your UV sheet, it's worth it. Okay, now it fits. This is the part of the tutorial where I want you to go wild and design your own front ad for the vending machine. Seriously, have fun with it. And if you make something cool, send me pictures via email. I'd love to see what you come up with. For mine, I went with a red gradient background, added some ice at the base, a bright red can, and water droplets everywhere to give it that fresh, cold look. Then I threw in some classic ad text around and on the can. And I must insist, my incredible peeps, it looks amazing. When I'm designing this stuff, I mess around with hue, saturation, brightness, and contrast. That's the trick to make it all the screenshot you take from the internet feel like they belong to the same mesh. In order to do this, I just click the little ball down here in the bottom right, choose brightness contrast or hue saturation, and mess around until it feels right. Here I'm just creating a small border around the drink slot. By the way, my incredible peeps, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I also have a Patreon. The link's in the description if you want to support the project. These will be the sides and back of the vending machine, a black metal sheet stained and scratched. I'm adding fans and small details to make the mesh feel more realistic. Just look at your references. That's the key. Again, I'm just tweaking the saturation and lightness until it matches the rest. Then I added a different type of metal panel to create some variation, just to make it more visually interesting. A lot of people often ask me in the comments where I get all these textures. Honestly, since I'm mostly just adding a base color, I don't need full PBR materials. So, like I said, I can just take a screenshot of a fan I like from Google Images, and that's it. And finally, I threw on a dirt alpha overlay, so it doesn't feel completely fresh out of the factory. To do this, I switched the layers blend mode from normal to overlay and tweaked the opacity. This lets me add dirt or texture without completely covering what's underneath. The only thing left to do is produce an emissive map. This is basically another texture that you save separately. All you have to do is leave the areas you want to glow, and everything else stays black so it won't light up. In our case, we only need the front of the vending machine. Here's how you plug it in Blender. In the shading tab, just copy and paste your texture node, replace the texture with your emissive map, and then plug it into the emission input. That's it. Here's the final result in Blender. Before exporting, make sure to apply all transforms, location, rotation, and scale, so your mesh comes into Unreal correctly. To do that, just press Ctrl A and choose all transforms. The last thing we need to do is simply export the mesh and the textures into Unreal Engine. I export as an FBX. My folders are a bit messy, but here are the settings I use when I export. Now in Unreal Engine, I start by importing the mesh itself. These are my import settings. Then I just place it right there, like this. And then I import the base color and the emissive map. Don't forget to change the texture filtering from default to nearest in Unreal. That way the engine won't smooth the image, so the pixels stay sharp, just like we set it up in Blender. Next, I create a material so we can give the mesh its texture. I plug the base color into base color, then add a multiply node so I can boost the emissive to 1.5 instead of 1. I connect the RGB output to the multiply node and the node into emissive color. After that, I create a constant set to 1 and plug it into roughness so the material doesn't look shiny. Now we can apply the material directly to the mesh. The last thing I do, the cherry on top, is create a blueprint that lets me add a rectangular light to the mesh. That way, on top of the emissive, it really looks like it's glowing, and the effect will be visible in the world, not just on the vending machine. I add a static mesh to the viewport, along with the rectangular light right there. Then I play around with the intensity, the light color, and the width and height of the source. Finally, I just replace our mesh in the world with the blueprint. And there you have it, my incredible peeps. Oh, much better. Okay, that was a lot of information, so let me recap and condense everything into a simple checklist. First, I gather references. Then I model the asset, optimize it, and set up the shading. After that, I unwrap the model and texture in Photoshop. I reset all transforms, export the mesh and textures into Unreal Engine, create my material, and assign it. And if needed, I put everything together in a blueprint. That's pretty much it, my incredible peeps. If you ended up modeling the vending machine along with me, tell me about it. And if you've got feedback on my workflow, leave a comment. I read them all. I'll resume the main series in the next video, but I thought it'd be interesting to go deeper into how I model my assets. Until then, I hope you had a great time, and I'll see you in the next one.